Okay, I think that in this presentation that we had a very different view of the position of the industry, the position of different user community, the position of the technology. And for me, if it is a very clear thing, is that we need to build up a very multidisciplinary team in order to tackle the standards, the interoperability, in order to adapt the application. And for me, the situation that we are now is like when we had the first operating systems, that was everything you had to build by your own, and you have to then rely on frameworks that you're reusing different components. So I think we are just starting this point in this scenario of cloud computing.
Yeah. From the session this afternoon, I think I take especially the point that we need to focus on practical use cases. I mean, it's pointless to spend time on in countless hours on definitions. What I see is that we need to resolve problems now, and we need to exploit the resources that we have today. So rather than debating whether an interface, be it grids or cloud, is better than the other, I mean, we just need to have the different communities get together, the, so to speak, cloud commercial community, the scientific grid community come together and work and resolve real use case problems that we have today.
Okay, from an industry perspective, I would say, first of all, it's important to get the real requirements for business IT. And I'm not talking about just single focus on latency or just single focus on capacity, etc. I'm talking about a set of various requirements, and then really have a clear picture of what can be offered to fulfill these requirements. And we are not talking about that cloud, and I think we all know that. There might be special clouds, there might be the need for managing several clouds. Maybe I don't care at some point about latency, I just have some batch running over the weekend, but maybe I care if the user sits in front of a UI, etc. So a special set of requirements, communicate it with the market, create offers for that, and then have a real market established. And I think an open communication about requirements, that is one first major step.
So I guess I have a couple of statements, not surprisingly. The first thing that I think there's something that pulls all of us together, whether we're from academia, government, commercial enterprises, whatever it is. And that's ultimately, in both the grid and the cloud space, we actually have a common problem that we want to share, which is basically the deployment and management of services and data on shared infrastructure, which can and often is remote. A lot of work has been done in the grid community around doing that, and a lot of that expertise can be applied to the cloud community, because we have the same problem to some greater or lesser degree. Specifically, we've got the experience from the collaborative work, and I think it's very important that we don't throw that away, forget about it, or anything else. The second thing is I'm a European who happens to work in America, and thinking of the EU and thinking of the Bay Area, which is where I live, which is, government is far more activist over here than it is over there, and the opportunity of having a government and government organizations that want to plan for their economies and their countries is, there's an opportunity to do something different. I think the big opportunity with clouds is, it's an enormous potential platform for innovation, where you don't actually need to have anything except the good idea and the skills. You don't have to have the infrastructure. So why doesn't the government drive the development of a cloud infrastructure that can be leveraged by SMBs and startups? There's an enormous opportunity to do something like that, to make a really big difference, and create an environment in Europe that is incredibly hospitable for change and innovation and ideas.
Okay, so just a couple of things for me. So the thing that interests me about clouds is this long word that I mentioned earlier but didn't really have time to explain, about disintermediation. So my business colleagues tell me that this is what's happened, for example, with travel agents. So we used to go into a physical travel agent, go to an office in the high street to book a holiday, and now we just go online and directly source the flights and hotels and so on that we want. And now we can do this with computing resources, and this frees up a lot of people, people who've got an idea, people who are entrepreneurial, just to go and get what they need in order to pursue that idea. And we'll certainly see that in science as well as in industry, with small companies springing off. There's a link between the two, I think. The entrepreneurialism of some people, such as example I gave earlier of a PhD student who just went out and grabbed the resources they needed to do their work, rather than go and ask permission to use the university resources or apply for a grant to do so. It's probably a similar sort of people who will be the early pioneers. But one nice thing about this, which I hope we'll see as well, is that we'll start to see more work going almost directly from universities into the commercial world, because there's always been this barrier that, for example, in the UK, you can't allow external users to run commercial services on your internal university IT, and this made a great barrier to moving things out into the commercial world. And now if people are using commercial clouds in order to do their science, there's a much lower barrier to making that accessible on a commercial basis to others. So I'm hoping we'll see more spin-offs based on science and research going on in universities. But the final thing I'll say is that one of the things that always happens with new technologies, people assume because they've run the Hello World program that it's easy and going to revolutionise the way in which they do things, and it's really hard work building reliable, dependable, distributed systems, and all the skills that we needed with grids and all the skills we needed before that with high performance computing will all be really important for clouds as well. So this community's got a real part to play in that.
So, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first day of OGF Europe Industry Expert Group's invited event, Cloudscape II.